got a request of something upcoming soon. We're working on that and looking forward to it. And if you have a request, we'd be glad to do it. Please feel free to share. I'd like to talk to you today about the prologue of Luke. And it's the first four verses in the first chapter of Luke. And Luke says this: "Insomuch as many have undertaken to compile a narrative of things that have been accomplished among us." Just for the record, it appears that Mark was the first book out on the market as far as the Gospels are concerned. And many folks think it's out about 15 years to 45 years after Jesus. That's just rough estimates. But it's out very, very early. But Luke is saying here that many have undertaken to give an account. So there was lots of accounts going on. There's things that I won't even discuss with you, but there were lots of accounts here. And he said that, to compile a narrative, just to write down what's been happening among us. Just as those who from the beginning were what? Eyewitnesses and ministers of the word have delivered them to us. Luke is letting us know that this is not just a bunch of far-flung things about Jesus and about what has happened. He says there were witnesses, and in that he even says, I went and checked it out. I went and talked to so-and-so and this one and that one. Does this jive with what this character has written? Does this jive with what this person has written? And he says, I thought to put an orderly account so that we know that these things are certain that have happened among us about Jesus. I have heard this analogy given. Let's just think about the things that Jesus did. If you remember, there would be Jesus doing something, and there were lots of people there. And of course, there would be lots of people there who loved Jesus, who thought he was doing a great thing. And there would also be other people there who actually hated Jesus and didn't like him. And we see it a lot of times in Scripture. There are people on both sides, those that love him, those that hate him. We say those that love him, of course, they just padded the case for him. Well, if that's true, then where's the narrative from those that hated his guts? Why didn't they write down a narrative? The reason is because we see it all in the narratives that we have. Let's think about something. You heard this analogy used. Do you remember the service that Jesus is there preaching in the house? And the house is very, very crowded. And these people come, these four guys bring their paralytic friend who, he's paralyzed, he can't walk. They bring him on a stretcher. They can't get in. There's so many people there because they want to get to Jesus to get him healed. So they have one option. Instead of coming through the door, they can't get in. Nobody lets them in. They go up on the roof and they tear the roof apart and they drop the guy down with a set of ropes down to Jesus. Now, I'm just going to put it to you this way. I have never been in a church service where some cat comes down through the ceiling. And I think I'd remember it if I had. You would too. Well, you say they just paid the case. Well, remember, there are people there that hated Jesus too. And they don't say, well, this never happened. Again, we have witnesses who have given us a very good account of what has happened. Always remember, there were plenty of witnesses to all these things. And to pad this, let's think about the resurrection. Jesus shows himself at several periods after the resurrection, before the ascension. So we have the 40 days. Jesus shows himself on several occasions to different groups and to different people. And it says at one time, he showed himself to over 500 people. Now, you could say, well, they all were having a delusion. How do 500 people have a delusion at the same time? I don't know. You could say, well, if it's one or two, well, they just had a bad hamburger, the night before, and they're sick on their stomachs, so they're having a delusion. Don't think that's happening here. We have witness accounts. Remember, what we have is an accurate narrative, an accurate story of what happened because of the witnesses. So you can be confident in what has been handed down to you. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, there's no confidence in Scripture. There's lots, and I could go a lot deeper than this if you really wanted to. I pray that God would bless and keep you this day and always remember, you can